All right, so I've got this drive shaft. It's really nice work, but the problem is that this just doesn't quite line up in the right spot. And it's more because of the choice of engine than anything else. This part's the right length. It just has to move a little bit further over to dodge the geometry of the engine. So what I'm doing is I've got to make basically an extension so that I can bolt this to that hanger location. And so cut these to length. I'm going to weld them together and then grind them flat. And unfortunately, I think what I'm gonna do is weld it here, which will make it pretty permanent and something that's gonna require a grinder if this bearing ever needs replaced. But I think that's all I got at this point, and should be a while, so maybe by then I won't mind busting the grinder out again. All right, so the drive shafts are fastened into the Humvee, and let's see, this was a what was it? Quarter 28 bolt. Each of these they need to be, I don't know, 3/4 of an inch long. Then this was kind of a custom fabrication because I needed clearance right here with the shifter, which now I've got, and mostly I need clearance here with the drive shaft, the U-joint knuckle. You can't quite see, but to give you some scale, there's my thumb in the gap. So that should be all right, but it needed a little bit of relocating to make sure that the drive shaft, the prop shaft specifically, wasn't up against the engine. So that's all done, and Custom Fab was able to reuse the hole right here on the bottom, but I had to drill one in the top. Unfortunately, there was room up in this space for the drill to do that. The rest of this is the front, and CSR drive shaft did the shafts. They were able to reuse the yoke coming out of the transfer case. And going to the back, here is the rear, and it just fit in perfect and it's bolted up. So finally the engine is connected to the wheels, and now I've got to go put some more parts on, but we might be done cutting metal and welding for a little while, which is nice. All right, setting up the zero gravity remote shifter. So this is the driver interface, and I've just completed the calibration. It's kind of handy. I was able to drop it down through the floor that way and be able to control the calibration buttons while also controlling the shift lever here. With the 8L90, it has, let's see, park, reverse, neutral, drive, and then a manual position. And then it's got an additional position, which is like a safe or a limp mode, but that is not something you want to calibrate. So you'll tell this thing, in the case of this transmission, the 8L90, that this has 2 forward gears because you have drive and you have manual mode, which are the forward gears. There's only 2 of them because you're excluding neutral, reverse, and park. Then basically you take this loose right here and manually position the arm in each position. If you just start poking at buttons, you're gonna have problems like I started out. But if you look at the guide that they send you from Zero Gravity Performance, it's very simple and straightforward. So you put it in calibration mode, and then you'll put manually the lever in each position and position, I guess this ferrule or bolt, whatever you wanna call it, manually. And then you hit drive to tell it that that's where that position is located. It'll learn it, and it'll know how to extend the cable to get it back to that position in the future. So it's very straightforward. And once you do that with each of those positions, starting with park in the front, then you will take this cotter pin or split pin and put that back in place. I've had this in 5 or 6, 7 times. It's much easier. I guess I could save some time by waiting to connect this once everything's in position, but essentially you just need enough throw with the cable to get all the way from the back all the way to the front. That's all there is to it so far. And let's see, powering the whole system right now is just my DC power box, and I've got 13 volts on the positive and negative or ground wires. So that's it so far. I'm gonna pin this thing and see what happens next. All right, now I'm in test mode. I had to go back and recalibrate because I'm an idiot, and I didn't follow the directions, so I pressed park to put it all the way in park where I could reach the pin position. To make it easier, of course, that jacked the whole thing up, so I had to power it down and go back into calibration mode. And the way you go into calibration mode is you hold positive and negative at the same time. In this case, then you scroll to number 3, which is cable position recalibration, and you choose that, and you change again with this to tell it yes when it asks you, are you sure? And then you start the process over. So it doesn't take very long, especially your third time if you've screwed it up twice. Now it's in test mode, so the let's see, I guess neutral, safety, or brake, yeah, the brake wires are disabled. So it'll just test the positions. Here it's in park right now. If I press park, nothing happens. If I go to reverse and I'll start pressing these buttons, and you'll see it change modes. And basically what's happening is this motor here, it's not where it's gonna live, but that's where it's sitting right now. It pushes this cable just like the way your bicycle changes gear, and it's at a fixed location here on the side of the transmission. Then that cable extends, which moves this lever. And this particular lever on the 8L90, in order to clear this drive shaft, I had to flatten out, but nothing a torch and hammer couldn't do. And you can see there's still a little bit of clearance there, so not the worst deal in the world. So here you go, here's a couple tests. If you want to go manual mode, you can hit that. That'll put it back in drive. You can see it's in manual 1. If I hit down again, nothing happens. It's not going to go into safe mode because we told it there's only 2 forward positions. It's in drive already. We go to park, all the way up to park, back to drive, reverse, drive, reverse, neutral, park. That's it. Thing seems to work.
There's 2 prop shafts. Here are the 2 that I tried to install. The one on the right was the one from Hummer Parts Guy. Dave was very helpful and finally got the right part, so make sure you get the right length.